The Endstone 7-mana legendary artifact. Whenever you play a land or cast a... What? Wow. And we're back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rosical. I'm one of the hosts here at the channel. My name's Nathaniel. I'm not joined by my lovely co-host or co-commentator, but she's off in the living room being a wonderful fiance. But she doesn't have as much to say about these new cards, and we are jumping right into, because these videos can get pretty long, right into a sort of set review of Edge of Eternities. So, if you guys don't know, we're just a couple of nerds here at Rosical. We share our hobbies with each other, with you guys, and that sort of entails Magic, video games, TTRPGs, board games, and the like. Magic is one of the really popular ones, and we love it a lot. It's got a new set coming out, Edge of Eternities, and I want to be talking about the new cards. Now, my favorite way to play Magic is limited, so that's going to be kind of the perspective I'm taking on these cards, but if there's something that's broken in Commander or something like that, I'll probably still make a comment on it. Other than that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else of note. Bear with me, it's a new setup. We're going to try to get through this pretty quickly so you guys don't have to watch a ton of videos that are like an hour and a half long. And yeah, let's jump into it. So the way this, you guys can probably tell by the title, is going to be multicolored and colorless, which includes lands, because there's a lot of lands in this set. And then we're going to jump into the WUBRG, so white, blue, black, red, green. Each of these coming out one day after another. So hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday if this comes out on the correct day. And we will make these all the way out until Friday, release day, when we'll hit you guys with the green card. So let's jump into this. We start out with a common. Command Bridge enters tapped. When it enters, sack it unless you tap an untapped permanent you control, and you can add 1 mana of any color. Okay, perfectly fine. Definitely going to be useful for mana fixing, but isn't anything crazy. I'll give it like a 4. Secluded Starforge. We've got tap, add a colorless. This is a rare. 2 tap, tap X untapped artifacts you control. Target creature gets +X+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery, so that's a good little buff. And you can pay 5, tap it, so equivalently 6. Create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. Hey, you know, if you're in a pretty much small colorless deck here, this is fine. I don't know how crazy this is going to be in limited, so I'm going to just say, I don't know, 5 out of 10? I don't know. All right, Breeding Pool. This is a Shocklands. These Shocklands are getting reprinted here, so this is the Simic Shockland. Shocklands are incredible. I don't know how great they are in limited, but I imagine they're probably still pretty good for color fixing because you don't have to have it enter untapped, so you can only do that if it benefits you. I'm going to say 9 out of 10. Incredible. If you pull any of these, I mean, you can see the prices over here. These are going to be great. And there are other versions of them, too. I wanted to point that out. So if I don't block them, hopefully I don't block them, there's some really cool, like, looking out of a spaceship versions of these cards that are pretty neat. This is the Shockland for... Oh, Lord. Boros. There we go. We got there. This is the Shockland for Boros. Obviously, going to give it the same 9 out of 10. Godless Shrine is the Shockland for Orzhov. Going to give it the same 9 out of 10. Stomping Ground is the Shockland for, I want to say Gruul, but I don't think that's right. I need to learn the red-green because I always mess it up. By the way, these are the looking out of a spaceship versions, if you guys can see those. They look pretty cool. And lastly, we have Watery Grave, which is the Demure version. Again, 9 out of 10. All right, new lands. Here we go. Mythic, Avendo Waking Haven, land planet, taps, enters tapped, adds a green. Once it has station, so let's talk about stationing this thing. So you can tap other creatures you control, and their power, whatever power of the creatures you tap at sorcery speed are going to add that many charge counters, and then once it hits a certain number of charge counters, in this case, you can pay a green, tap it, and you add a green for each creature you control, aka... basically, they reprinted a bunch of way too powerful lands, in this case, Gaia's Cradle, and made it slightly more balanced because you got to do some things to get to the point where you can tap it like crazy. That being said, it's not going to be that hard to get to 12 station, especially in like Commander. From a limited perspective, I don't think this is very powerful. Obviously, if you pull it and you are playing in that color, you can totally run it, and it's going to be a very expensive card. Oh, they're going to have, like, looking out of spaceship versions of these as well. That's going to get a little confusing to tell which card is which. That being said, in Commander, absolute banger. In Limited, I'm going to say it's like a 4 out of 10. I don't think it's going to be crazy powerful. These are what the different forests look like. and the full art forest. And then, bam, red. Here we go. Mythic. Enters tap, tap to add a red, station 12, all that's the same. This time you can pay a 1 and a red, tap, sack a land to create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token, then creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. Definitely not as powerful. I'd say from a constructed perspective, we're probably looking at giving this maybe like a, I don't know, 7 or 8 out of 10 still. Very useful utility land, but in limited, I still don't think it's going to be broken because you're going to be sacrificing a land here. The haste could be very nice depending on the big things that you could get out, but stationing for 12 is just going to be almost impossible to do, especially towards your lands. So I'm going to give it another like 4 out of 10 limited. I do not think it's a good card to be playing unlimited. That's pretty cool though. All right, here we go. Susur Secundi Void Altar. Okay, so this is the black one, station 12, 1 and a black, tap, pay 2 life, sack a creature, draw cards equal to the sack creature's power. Okay, that one's definitely much more powerful. I think that in constructed, again, going to be like a 7 or 8 out of 10 utility land. Very, very, very good. When I say 7 or 8 out of 10 in constructed, we're talking good cards here. But I just don't imagine this being broken in limited. That being said, drawing cards is a little bit more powerful, so I'm going to give it like a 5 rather than a 4, I think is what I was giving the other ones. Take a moment to take in those basics. They look pretty, and the full arts look really nice. Can't even say too much about that. All right, so we were having some issues with Skyfall loading quickly earlier, so I do apologize if it takes it like 5 years to switch screens here, y'all. I promise my internet's trying. Here we go. Here's the boy. I don't remember the name of the card that does this, the other land, but it's like something library. Uthros Titanic God Core, land planet, enters tabs, tap to add a blue. Station up to 12, and this one is blue, tap, add a blue for each artifact you control. Absolutely crazy. This thing's going to go insane. People are going to want this all day, every day. Again, for constructed. I think that in limited, this isn't playable, like, at all. I'm going to give it a 3 or 4 out of 10 because just stationing up to 12 is going to be so difficult just for you to add more mana. You'd have to be a very artifact-heavy deck, etc. All right, and then we get into the white one, Adasia, Windswept Bastion, planet, tapped, 12, the whole shebang. 3 and a white, tap, create a token that's a copy of target artifact or enchantment you control, except it's legendary. Activate only as a sorcery. So, I mean, creating token copies of things are very powerful. You can create like a legendary token copy of like Smothering Tithe or something with this, and that's obviously very, very powerful. Again, in constructed. From a limited perspective, I don't know if I want to be paying 4 mana and getting this up to 12 just to do an effect like that. So I'm probably not going to be doing that, and I'm going to give this the similar like 3 or 4 out of 10. These just aren't very playable in limited. But they're very pretty. All right, let's get into some cards here. Into our colorless, we have an uncommon artifact, All Fate Scroll artifact. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. Pay 7, tap, sack it. Draw X cards or X is the number of differently named lands you control. So one of the themes for this deck, because you can make lander tokens, which we'll get to later, one of the things for this deck is sort of like going rainbow, essentially. And this would be very powerful in that deck. It also helps you mana fix in that deck. In that deck, it's probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10. But generally speaking, this isn't a great card. It's a little expensive for the mana rock, and I'm going to give it about a 4. Anticausal Vestige, 6 and a rare. Also, some of my ratings might be a little adjusted because I'm not used to how powerful things are. Here we have our first warp mechanic, so we'll go over that. When this creature leaves the battlefield, draw a card. Then you may put a permanent card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. You can warp it for 4, which says you may cast this card from your hand for its warp cost, exile it at the beginning of the next end step, then you may cast it from exile at a later turn. So for 4, you can warp this out, get a free permanent, draw a card, and then later you can pay the 6 to bring it to the battlefield. If it were to die, then it does it again. This is a very good rare. I think this is going to be above average. I think I'm going to give it a 6 or a 7. Then we have Bygone Colossus. This is an uncommon 9/9 with warp. It has no enters or exit effects, so the reason this exists is to help you station things. You can pay 9 to bring out a 9/9 in the late game, and I mean late game. If you're getting a 9 mana, you went to a late game. But you can warp this in to station if you want. I don't think it's very powerful, though. I'm going to give it like a 5. Chrome Companion looks cute. 2 mana for a common dog. Whenever this becomes tapped, you gain a life. 2 tap. Put target card from on the bottom of its library. So you can tap it yourself to gain life, or you could use this as a station. It's also an artifact for all those artifact energies that we have already seen some of and are going to continue, I'm very sure. That being said, I don't think this is broken at all. I'm going to give it about a 3. Dauntless Scrapbot, Robot, 3 mana, 3/1, so good for stationing. Whenever this creature enters, exile each opponent's graveyard. Alright, that's good graveyard hate. More useful in constructed, but hey, never hurts. And create a lander token. We're getting to see our first lander token. So lander tokens are an artifact token with pay 2, tap it, sack it, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. Lander tokens are going to be very popular, and they're going to be powerful in limited. They're going to be powerful in constructed. So we're just going to have to live with lander tokens. That's what we're going to have to do. But yeah, I'm excited for this card. I think it's going to be good. 3 mana for a 3/1 that creates a lander and exiles graveyards. Really no complaints from me. I'm going to give it a 4 or 5. Here we're getting a Mythic, Dawnsire, Sunstar, Dreadnought, 5 mana. For nothing really at first, but you can station it up to 10. If you do, whenever you attack, it just deletes something, which is going to be powerful. If you do get it to 20, it is a flying 20/20. This is a powerful card. This is a good Mythic. I think that in Limited, this is going to do more than it probably is going to do in Constructed, but it's still powerful in Constructed. I'm going to say in Limited, this is just a banger of a card. You do have to get it up to 10 station, but if you do, it's contributing to you, and if you manage to get it to 20, you're winning good. You are winning good. I'm going to say this is probably about a 7 or an 8 out of 10, though. It's definitely not going to be the most impactful card on the board. Extinguisher Battleship. 8 mana, spacecraft, rare. When it enters, destroy target non-creature permanent. Then this deals 4 damage to each creature. Okay, so it's going to enter, destroy a permanent, then maybe even wipe the board. That's going to make it hard for you to station, though. Interesting. Yeah, Extinguisher Battleship is going to extinguish the board. But you don't have to play a lot to get this to be a flying trample 10/10. So I'm going to say, all things considered, pretty good. I think this is going to change the tide of battle a lot in Limited, and I'm going to give it about an 8 out of 10. Nutrient Block, 1 mana, common food. So it has the food part, but it's also indestructible. And when this artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. That's very good. That's very, very good, I think, for... I mean, it's a total of 3 mana, gain 3 life, draw a card in the long run of things is, I mean, if it's a 3 mana, gain 3, draw a card, I think I wouldn't play that. But because it is an artifact that you can tap or use for other artifact means, it makes this a little bit better, and I think it ekes into that, like, 4 category. Pinnacle Kill Ship, 7 mana, 7/7 spacecraft, but only when you get to 7 station. When it enters, it deals 10 damage to up to 1 target creature, so it is removal. 7 mana removal that can later be a 7/7 is expensive, but fine. If you manage to get up to it, I think it's going to play okay, but I think it's probably a 2 or a 3. Survey Mechan. I'm going to pronounce that Mechan. 4 mana, 1/3. That's not good. Flying Hexproof. 10 mana, sack it. It deals 3 damage to any target. Target player draws 3 cards and gains 3 life. This ability costs S less to activate, where X is the number of differently named lands you control. So here we see a prime example of what I was talking about earlier, where you want to be playing the Rainbow deck. This is incredible in that. If you're not playing it or attempting the Rainbow deck, this is not very good. But in Constructed, that's going to be a pretty cool effect to have. So in Constructed, it's probably a decent card. And in Limited, it's only good. I'll give it like a 7 out of 10 probably. 6 or 7 out of 10 if you're in the Rainbow deck. Other than that, 1, do not play it. Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. 3 mana. Tezzeret, Legendary Planeswalker. Whenever an artifact you control enters, you put a loyalty counter on him. So he's going to get up to loyalty counters very quickly. He already starts with 4. You can untap target artifact or creature. It's an artifact creature, and you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So you can do that for 0. Now, the only way to put counters on him, by the way, or loyalty counters on him, is through playing artifacts. You can search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. That's going to be very powerful in certain constructed decks, but isn't going to do a whole lot in Limited. Or 7, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 3 +1/+1 counters on target artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. This is pretty powerful because it is going to turn your non-creature artifacts into creatures. And you only have to make 3 artifacts to do that. I think in limited, that's going to be very difficult to do. I think normally, wow, these things are up there in price. People want this card, man. I mean, you can make a lot of artifacts in Constructed. So I think this is going to change games in Constructed. But I don't think it's going to do a whole lot for non-Constructed. I think generally speaking, if you're not in Constructed, this is probably not playable in Limited. So I'm going to give it like a 2 for Limited. All right, Thaumaton Torpedo, 1 mana artifact, 6 tap. So this is something you could go get with Deseret. 6 tap, sack it, destroy target non-land permanent. This ability costs 3 less to activate if you attack with a spacecraft this turn. Pretty good. If you're building a spacecraft deck, I'll give it a 4 or a 5. If you're not, don't play it. The Dominion Bracelet, 2 mana, legendary artifact equipment. Whoop, didn't want to do that. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has pay 15, exile it. You control target opponent during their next turn. This ability costs X less to activate, where X is the creature's power. Okay. So 1 mana equip, 2 mana to bring it out. It automatically gives something +1/+1 already, but you got to get that power up there. If you get it, put it on like a 7/7, you're still paying 8 for this ability. I think that's probably a bit expensive, but I mean, you just win the game if you get a free turn with someone, right? I think let's see, you control target opponent during the, so you get to pick the opponent too. I think, generally speaking, this is going to be very, very broken and constructed, and I think in Limited, it's probably tough to play. You got to put it in the right deck, so because of that, I'm going to give it a 6. Should have clicked the next button like 7 years ago so that it would actually move on, but this is a great time to say, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button down below. We're giving you guys the best effort we can, the best content we can, and you guys are so awesome and make this channel so incredible. So thank you guys for being so awesome. And if you haven't joined the Royal School community, we'd love to have you. The Endstone, 7 mana legendary artifact. Whenever you play a land or cast a... What? Wow. 7 mana. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. At the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half your starting life total rounded up. Guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Oh my god, it's broken. It's so broken. You just draw for days, right? Like, you play a land, you draw. You get a spell, you cast it, you draw. You get another spell, you cast it, you draw. If you're... Oh my god, my brain goes straight to Ashley's clue. Oh my... Constructed, broken. Limited, also broken, because your foot will never be off of the gas, right? I mean, you could draw 2 land cards in a row, but again, you have to be twice as unlucky as the person that's also just drawing land, and you're gonna have to do that every single time. So powerful. This is very, very powerful. Also, your life's just always going to go back up to... At the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half your starting life total rounded up. By the time you're playing this, honestly, going to 11 is probably not the end of the world. But you do want to keep that in mind. Other than that, yeah, this is broken. This is broken. This is big time broken. Wow. Wow. All right. Well, moving on. I'm going to give that at least a 9 out of 10. Might even be a 10 out of 10. I don't know if it does enough on play. I don't think it does enough on play, so I'll probably say it gets like a 9 out of 10. Because if you are behind, this does nothing. It kind of is a win more card, but... So I think limited, it's probably bringing it down to like an 8. Yeah, I'm convincing myself an 8 out of 10 limited. And constructed, this is just so godly broken. All right, the Eternity Elevator. This is cool. 5 mana spacecraft. You can tap to add 3 colorless. That doesn't even require stationing. That's just 5 mana tap to add 3. That's what, Thran Dynamo, but better, if I'm not mistaken, because it's going to have this station. And you can station it to add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of charge counters on it. Dog, what are we doing? What are we doing? Oh my gosh. Oh, we're done for. Holy crap. Okay, well, again, I think 5 mana tap to add 3, because that's all you're going to do with this in limited, is probably not very powerful unless you're playing a very high mana cost deck and you're very themed around that. So I'm going to say, generally speaking, this is pretty bad in limited. I'm going to give it about a 3 or a 4. In constructed, this is godly. Jesus Christ, y'all. What are we doing? All right, Throbbing Hive Pool, 6 mana artifact, affinity for slivers, which is really neat. All right, so this is going to be nothing in a sliver deck, right? So this is going to cost nothing in a sliver deck. Slivers you control have double strike and haste. Sure. At the beginning of your upkeep, create 2 1/1 colorless sliver creature tokens. Okay, so in a sliver deck, this is just everything you ever need. I don't think there's enough slivers in the format, but I haven't read all the cards, so I'm going to say this depends on how many slivers you're running. If there's enough to run a themed sliver deck, then go for it. If there's not, don't play this card. Virulent Silencer. 3 mana artifact creature robot assassin 2/3. Okay, that's okay. Whenever a non-token artifact creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. Wow. Okay, so it's a artifact creature poison theme. Weird. Okay, so 3 mana 2/3 isn't great. So you really have to be in an artifact creature deck to then say, okay, so you're going to die at 10 poison counters. Am I hitting you with with little enough damage? I don't know. I don't know how viable this is. For me, this reads pretty bad. I'm going to give it about a 3 just because I don't know how many like Thopters there are. If I'm hitting you 5 times, are you not dead already? That's an average of 4 damage, you're dead. So, I don't know. I think it's probably like a 3 or a 4. All right, last colorless card, Wormwall Sweeper, 2 mana 2/2, but it's not there yet. When it enters, you surveil 2, and then you got to station up to 4 to get a flying 2/2. That's fine. I don't think that's great. I'm going to go about a 2 or a 3, but you know what? It enters, it surveils, and then it becomes a flyer later on if you want it to be. There we go. All right, that is the colorless cards, as you guys can see by the thumbnail, title, everything, right? We're doing colorless and multicolored in this video. Then we're going to do WUBRG, so let's just jump right into it. Infinite Guideline Station. This is a WUBRG, legendary spacecraft. When it enters, create a tap 2/2 colorless robot creature token for each multicolored permanent you control. Okay. Sure. Now the question is, do these count as creatures? Like, can you run these as a commander? I don't know. I do not know if you can run these as a commander. Whenever it enters, create a tap 2/2 colorless robot for each. Yep, cool. And then it has station up to 12 flying. Whenever it attacks, draw a card for each multicolored permanent you control. Well, damn. That's extremely powerful, but extremely hard to pull off. You have to pull off the WUBRG. So if you're already building that deck, or if you pull this early on and you want to go for that deck, be my guest. I'm not going to tell you you can't, but just know it's going to be very difficult. But yeah, so in limited, I never suggest doing that, but if you want to, obviously it's good in that deck. Generally speaking, it's going to get about a 2 in limited. Very fun and constructed, though. Biomechan Engineer. Again, that's how I'm choosing to pronounce that. This is a Simic Insect Artificer 2/2. When it enters, create a lander token, pay 8, draw 2 cards, and create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. Yeah, this is just great. This is just incredible. 2/2 for 2 that creates a lander token and has a high level payoff. I'm gonna say is like a 5 or 6 out of 10. This is an uncommon you definitely want to pick up if you're gonna be running Simic. Gene Morph Imago? I don't know. Simic 1/3, that's still fine. Flying Landfall, which of course this is sort of our lander theme. Which keep in mind, WUBRG is going to be much more easy to do if you're in lander, right? So you're kind of going to play Simic Rainbow, if that makes sense, where your baseline is Simic, but then you have like a couple of the other color lands to go and grab them. Flying Landfall, whenever a land you control enters, target creature has base power toughness 3/3 until end of turn. If you control 6 or more lands, that creature has base power and toughness 6/6 until end of turn. More than fine. You can even put that on this guy and just make a 3/3 flyer or a 6/6 flyer. I mean, no complaints from me there. I think that's fine. Is he a rare? It wasn't saying the rarities here. So uncommon, good. Rare, I'd like to see a little more power, I think, probably from a rare. But, you know, landfall triggers are good in construction and stuff as well. Next, we have a Boros one, a Lobster Citizen 2/2. Artifacts you control are foods in addition to their other types, so everything's a food. Pay 1, tap, sack of food. It deals 3 damage to each. Pay 1, tap, sack of food. It deals 3 damage, or Ghost. I love it. Deals 3 damage to each opponent. At the beginning of each end step, if you gained life this turn, you get to untap him. That's pretty cool. So you can sack a food to gain life, sack a food to deal damage, rinse and repeat basically every single turn. This is going to be a fun commander for people to build. We haven't really seen much food themes in Boros, so I think people are going to have a lot of fun with that. Sammy Ship's Engineer, 2 in a Boros. Legendary creature, human artificer, 2/4. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, create a 2/2. This is extremely powerful. 4 mana, 2/4, that's just making 2/2s. Because ideally, you want to bring this out on a turn that this is going to trigger. So you're really getting 4 power, 6 toughness off the bat for a 4/4 with potential upside in the future. Especially if you're stationing and whatnot, you definitely are going to want this. We have another Sammy, Wildcat Captain, 4 and what was that? An uncommon too. Wow. 4 and a Boros. This is Mythic, 4/4 double strike Vigilance. Sure, that's incredible. That is already a very, very, very playable card. 4/4 double strike Vigilance. I mean, for 6 is a little high, but then of course spells you cast have affinity for artifacts. Boros is our artifact theme here clearly. And by golly, this is a game changer. I'm going to say an 8 or 9 out of 10. I mean, it's not literally a game changer. I realize that has a context now. But yeah, great card. 8 or 9 out of 10. Cosmogoyf. All right, so this is a... God, maybe this one's Gruul. I don't know. Anyways, black-green. Elemental Lurgoyf. Its power is equal to the number of cards you own in exile. And its toughness is equal to that number +1. It's not types of cards, just the number of cards you own in exile. It's going to be a very interesting type of creature to play. I don't know if green-black does a lot of exiling, but sure. I mean, I don't know how functional this is. So far on the cards I've seen, this isn't going to play great. So I'm going to say as a rare, maybe not. But again, if this comes out as a 2 mana, even like 3/4, that's still pretty good. But I would say, generally speaking, be careful with it. Seed Ship Broodtender, black and a green, Insect Citizen, 2/3. When it enters mill 3, sure. Pay 5, sack this creature, return target creature or spacecraft card from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. Okay, cool. So you could mill into something big and then pay 5 to replace this with that. Isn't great, and sorcery speed is even worse, but I think it's fine. You're getting good value on the 2/3 for 2, so... and you're getting to mill, and there's probably some other cards that will work off of that mill, so I'll give it about a 5 out of 10. All right, Menon Uthros Exile. Sure. Jellyfish Advisor. 1/3 flying. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. That's pretty good. I mean, you're going to have a lot of artifacts entering, ideally, in sort of this / Boros. I think Jeskai would be a pretty playable combo now that I'm thinking about it, which makes sense. That's one of the decks, right? One of the commander decks. Whenever an artifact enters, put a +1 on any target is pretty good. 3 mana, 1/3 flyer is not great, but hopefully you're going to be getting a couple of those triggers, so I'll give it about a 4. Pinnacle Emissary is a 1 in a Jeskai, no, 1 in a Izzet. Robot 3/3, so 3 mana, 3/3. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, so you have to cast the artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless drone artifact creature token with flying, and this token can block only creatures with flying. Okay, so you can warp it in for 1, cast a couple artifacts, get its benefit, and then it leaves. I mean, that's fine. I think it's okay. I don't think it's great. And the drone can only flying. But, you know, if you, like, combo these, obviously you're then going to put a +1/+1 counter on things. Things get pretty powerful pretty quickly. So, no. I mean, I don't hate it. I think it's pretty good. If you pull it in your rare slot, then great. It's playable. For sure. Is it legendary? No. Okay. Sirvondum Sunstar Exemplar. I'm paying attention because this is a knight, and it's in Sidar colors, and it's apparently worth something. It's pretty cool, right? All right, 2/2 Vigilance Menace for 2 is fine. Whenever another creature you control dies or is put into exile, put a +1/+1 counter on them, and you gain 1 life. Okay, sure. Whenever Sirvondum dies or is put into exile while its power is 4 or greater, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. Sure, why not? That's playable. 2 mana, 2/2 with Vigilance and Menace is already pretty decent. And then if you happen to have some sacking going on or some exiling that's going on, they can get bigger, gain life. And if they are big enough when they die, sure, it's removal. I'll give it like a 6 out of 10. Maybe like a 5. It didn't scream to me. And for a rare, that's not great. All right, another one. Here we go. We have Human Knight. This one's for 5. It's a 4/4 with Death Touch and Lifelink. That's pretty decent. Whenever it enters or attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain Death Touch until end of turn. That is an enters or attacks trigger, which is very good to kind of get damage through. I'm going to say that's pretty solid. I'm going to also give that about like a 5 out of 10 because it's buffing up the rest of your creatures. It's Death Touch, it's Lifelink. This is pretty powerful. This is pretty powerful. All right, Diadrine, I don't know. Synthesis, Amalgam, X and a Celestia. Legendary artifact creature construct. This is a rare 0/1 trample, but it enters with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it. So it's gonna enter minimum as a 2/3, but you can pay up to however much you want. Whenever you attack, you may remove a +1/+1 counter from each of 2 creatures you control. If you do, draw a card and create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. So I'm going to assume +1/+1 counters is in the Celestia theme. Assuming that it is, this is very powerful. This is the type of rare you want to play, and I think it's going to be very good. I didn't even see the trample on this. That makes it even better. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Halia Ascendant Cadet, 2, a Celestia and another white. Human Soldier 3/3, whenever it enters or attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So it's really entering as a 4/4 or something else is getting bigger. Whenever one or more creatures you control with a +1/+1 counter on them deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Very powerful, exactly what you want in that theme. I'm going to say both of these go very well together, obviously. And that's just what it looks like Celestia is going to want to do. This is doing what it wants to do. It's a bit expensive, but remember, this is a 4/4 minimum or you're buffing something else. So sure enough, I like it a lot. I'm here for it. I'm going to give it about a 5. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Biotech Specialist. This is... See, I can't remember if this is Gruul, if the other one's Gruul. It's whatever. All right, red and a green, 1/3. That's fine. When it enters, create a land or token. And when you sacrifice an artifact, this creature deals 2 damage to target opponent. Very powerful. Exactly what you want. 1/3, making a lander. This thing's great. It's rare, so no wonder it's a little great. But yeah, no, this is good and limited. I'm going to say very good and limited. Let's keep it up. Tanuk Memorial and Sign. 1 and a red and a green. Kavu Pilot. 2/4. Okay, so 3 mana for a 2/4 is fine. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, draw a card. So basically, if you play a land from your hand and then lander, you're going to do 2 damage, and you're going to draw a card. Very powerful. This is kind of exactly what you want to keep the foot on the pedal in red-green or green-blue if you're running a red-green-blue combo there. All right, Interceptor Mechan. This is 2, a black and a red, robot flying 2/2. Whenever it enters, return target artifact or creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Sure, why not? That's pretty decent. Void. At the beginning of your end step, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, okay, so that can be like a lander token or something, or a spell was warped, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. That's also very good. This thing's going to get bigger, faster. It also returns something from your graveyard. I think this is, generally speaking, a very good 4-drop. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Mutinous Massacre. Wow, 7 mana, 3, 2 black, 2 red. Sorcery. Rare. Choose odd or even. Destroy each creature with mana value of the chosen quality. Then gain control of all creatures until end of turn. Untap them. They gain haste until end of turn. Oh boy. Oh boy. This could be very thematic in a certain deck. Because you could actually theme your deck to only have like even cost creatures or something. So then you get to keep all your creatures, and it's not a one-sided board wipe because other people are going to get to keep theirs too. But gain control of the creatures that are left, untap them. I mean, this is just essentially another, what's the name of that card? Insurrection? Is that what it's called? I think. This is crazy. This is incredible. Now it is a top end, and you're gonna have to use it. Yeah, like you're gonna have to use it to win the game, but you probably will at 7 mana. So if you're doing black red right, you're gonna want this. All right. I'll give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10. Alpharel Dreaming Acolyte, 1 and a Dimir Human Cleric, 2/3. That's good, I guess. It's close. When it enters, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 unless you discard an artifact card. Fine. During your turn, it has Death Touch. Okay. I mean, this is an acceptable uncommon. I'll give it about a 4. Singularity Rupture, 3 a Dimir and 1 more black. Destroy all creatures, then any number of target players. Each mill half their library rounded down. What? What? I'm sorry. I would like to point out that in Limited, this is fine. It's a board wipe, and it will do board wipe things. So I will give it about like a 5 on the scale. But in Constructed, just saying, all right, we're playing Commander here. I'm going to hit this, and everybody's going to mill like 38 cards. Any number of target players. So I don't even have to do it myself. Or I could if that benefits me. Oh my god. That's incredible. That's incredible. Follow that up with like a Rise of the Dark Realms in that. Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright, sure. In Limited, it's fine. Space-Time Anomaly. 2 and an Azorius. Target player mills cards equal to your life total. Why are we wanting people to mill an Azorius? What? 4 mana, all it does is mill other people's cards. You got to be careful with this. You got to have a reason to be doing this, and you've got to have more than one of them. In Limited, I'm going to say this isn't very playable unless you're in a deck that can really benefit from this effect. So other than that, I'm going to give it about a 2. Station Monitor. 1 Azorius. Lizard Artificer. 2/2. That's fine. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 colorless drone artifact creature token with flying in this. Okay, sure. Yeah, every time you cast your second spell. I mean, why not? If things are cheap, or if you're casting cheap artifacts and that sort of thing, let's make more artifacts. I'm here for this. I think this is fine. I'm going to give it about a 6. And there we have it. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but that is a green card, which means we have made it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I certainly loved seeing the different artifacts, colorless cards and multicolor cards that we went through here. I'm very excited for this set, more than I thought I would be. I think they've pulled off the sort of sci-fi but also in Magic world feel pretty well. I think it still fits the vibe of the cards pretty well, and I'm really excited for this set. If you guys are too, leave a like and comment down below. What was your favorite card that we went over, whether it's for Limited or Constructed? I just want to know what you guys are thinking of these cards so far. I'm very excited to get into WUBRG, and we will see you guys tomorrow with White. However, well, I guess I will see you guys tomorrow, but Ashley's being awesome out in the living room, and she loves and misses you guys too. But yeah, that's all we've got for you guys right now. We'll see you guys later. Until then, may those rolls be ever in your favor, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Bye, y'all.